Hi. It's been a while. Yeah, ratchet ass fucking nails. Let's just hop right into the video. I saw my girl Elena Genevieve post a video online called Online Dating Trans Girl POV. So point of view of a trans girl whilst navigating the scary world of online dating. Scary just in general, as online dating is or can be. I'm not very scared of it, but the POV is what we're really after. I've touched upon dating as a transgender girl, so I'll talk about online dating more so. Right off the bat, I'm gonna start off by saying, please, my God, stop asking any old trans girl if they use Grindr. That is for males. I've actually had friends in my life asking me if I've used Grindr. I find it very offensive. It might be just me, but try and wean from asking trans girls if we used Grindr, because I'm not a man. That app is used by gay men or closeted straight men or experimental straight men wanting discreet, down low-key hookups with other men or other people with penises. I do have the genitalia of a biological man, a cisgender male, but I don't identify as anything to do with masculinity, masculine energy. I don't identify as a male, a boy, a man. I present female. I am female. I identify as one. And a man would not be, a gay man would not be aroused by me, especially to do with my aura, my character, everything head to toe. 9 times out of 10, they're not. I know that there are some chasers lurking around on Grindr, because I know, I am aware trans women use that for that kind of clientele. But right off the bat, please don't ask trans people if they use it. I know Elena Genevieve herself touched upon using Grindr, but she never mentioned how it could be offensive that because you could still see, some people still see trans girls as just dressing up, cross-dressing, and not as a girl, so they assume that they use Grindr. Please don't assume that. That's quite offensive, in my opinion. Some trans people will be fine with it, like Elena, but don't ask that to everyone. Ask if it is appropriate, like what apps they use. Don't just assume they use it, basically, because at the end of the day, it's created for gay men, not women that are transgender, unless they change it and target that. But I don't use it to know. So I'll start off by saying I've had a lot of experiences with Tinder. Mind you, I used it before I identified as a woman. I used it I started using it back in late 2016, 2017, just getting a feel of it. Baby Shauna used it as a gender non-conforming person, human being, presenting female, of course, but going through androgyny, having a stash back then, but still being very feminine, you know, blowing the lines. It's the proudest years of my life thus far. One of the, yes. Tinder. I actually was, it's actually quite, I'll make a huge story time about it, but I have been one of the most swiped right on Tinder. There is articles about me all over the news. Cosmopolitan did a magazine print of me amongst 29 other people. So I was one of the, amongst 30 people in total, including me, obviously, that was the most swiped right out of the whole of the UK. So I've got that on my fucking list of things I've accomplished, I guess. So what that means, swiping right means you swipe, that you basically like them. And if you swipe left, you don't like them. And a lot of people have swiped right on me. I think as well, at the time, I wasn't what I look like now. I still look very female and everything, but I had more androgyny, no facial hair, no nothing, but it wasn't completely head to toe woman. No, actually it was, but I just didn't identify as a woman. And I would say that to the suitors that would match me, basically. So yeah, I was Tinder's most swipe right. So I have a lot of experience with Tinder and dating as a gender non-conforming human being and as a trans girl. None of it was easier. I find that being gender non-conforming actually was kind of easier because you weren't so fetishized as a quote-unquote trans girl. You were just maybe seen more so as like unsure and maybe more male, even though I still looked the same. It's just I put a name to what I am. So I'm more so fetishized right now. Well, as soon as I officially, I guess, said I'm trans. But I find that, I mean, I kind of still was, but I just never was truly I never blossomed. I was still that little caterpillar ready to go on my life journey, and I'm not even finished yet. So the more confident I became with my body, the more exploited and sexualized, objectified I was, fetishized. So it's all to do with how progressively female my outer appearance was, how much more confidence I gained with dressing more provocatively, for lack of a better word. So yeah, there's that. And I would find that Tinder is basically the Grindr of the straight world, because 9 times out of 10, a lot of conversations would steer towards, hi, how are you? I want to sleep with you, in more graphic terms. So it would always turn into like a hookup, depending on the content you would share. Like if you would link your Instagram and what kind of content you share there, or what kind of pictures you upload / videos. I know that I'm very confident, but I've learned that if you put anything explicit, whereas if you do OnlyFans content and you put a picture of you in your lingerie, obviously you do the maths, like you will attract that kind of audience, and people that normally don't sexualize will sexualize because they think that you want that, even though you might not want it. You just see it as art, which I do. So people that generally wouldn't sexualize are going to, because 9 times out of 10, most men, not all men, think with their dicks and they want a quick, easy fix, I find. So even the most wholesome looking, appearing of men can fall prey and victim to the toxic masculine kind of ways that we all are surrounded by, guiltily attracted to, are subjected to, experience quite frequently. So it is kind of a sucky thing, but maybe try and not post pictures and advertise yourself, because that's basically what it is. It's a portfolio to entice people in whatever way, shape, or form, blah blah blah. So maybe just be careful of what you are sharing picture-wise, because you don't want to right off the bat get someone being like objectifying you and or giving you weird pickup lines or weird stories / scenarios. I've had it all. So yeah, it's just very weird. And yeah, so that's Tinder, the Grindr of the straight world. Next would be one of my favorites, Bumble. I feel like it's more genuine and lovely. I find it attracts a more kinder, softer clientele. I've had some wonderful dates from there. I've had some wonderful dates from Tinder too, but I find Bumble is more wholesome, even if you post provocative pictures. And the woman has to message first in order to start the conversation and in order to let the male start the conversation, which I think is great, because guilty, but I never message anyone first and I identify as a woman. Bumble is just great. I just don't use it that often. I don't know why. My actual number one favorite is Hinge. I tend to like love it the most. It's just, I feel like it's more real, more straight to the point. Again, like Bumble, like you aren't as sexualized to the max. I feel like Bumble's more PG-13 because they don't allow you to post anything you want, as in like picture wise, whereas Tinder does, to be quite honest. But it's not that, it's more, it doesn't attract that kind of audience where it's like completely sexual right off the bat on Bumble. Hinge is like a good in between. It's like kind of sexual but not as bad as Tinder or like objectifying kind of level. It's more real and genuine and you feel that you are respected on Hinge, and it's my preferred one because I'm very sexual. I'm a very sexual person, but you just need to know how to go about it the right way, and it's just nice. Hinge, I find that it is the better of the bunch basically, and I've had wonderful encounters, phone calls, blah blah blah. I prefer calling and voice noting over FaceTiming over texting because I feel like it's impersonal. You can't really hear the tone of voice through a text. The personality character is lost through words, text, and you won't really get if somebody's making a sarcastic comment, a joke, when it's in text form. So especially first impressions, that's why I like to hear their voice, their tone of voice, character, inflections, etc, because we can't really meet during a pandemic, so that's the next best thing. And some people hate phone calls / video calls, so I settle and compromise for a voice note. So yeah, Hinge to me is the superior app. And finally, Tammy, which is actually targeted towards transgender LGBT people. There are other LGBT friendly ones, but I can't remember them and they're not as renowned. I've never used Tammy. It just never appealed to me. I never tell guys that I'm trans right off the bat because that is my tea. It's information that I will tell when it's relevant. If it's just casual talking, then they don't need to know. If it gets to a point where they want to meet me, I go on the date and see where that goes, because I want them to meet me for me, not have any preconceived notions of what trans is, because there's such a huge fetishization and stigma of what trans is, and they could go into the date thinking, oh my god, this is a man, I'm talking to a man, a cross-dresser, whatever, or they might cancel the date or whatever because they might feel guilt, shame and whatever. So I want them to meet me for me and then know what the tea is, because especially if it like turns sexual, which happens often, so they obviously have to know while I'm pre-op. And once I become post-op, any casual things, I might not tell them right off the bat. And that's for me, and that's another story for another time. And yeah, I don't think there's anything personally wrong with that. That's my personal beliefs. Not all trans people think that way. So I find as well, on top of, to wrap things all up, on Hinge and on Bumble, I don't get that fetishized as I would on Tinder, regardless if I'm openly trans or not. And once they find out I'm trans, I've had much more success in not being fetishized through Bumble and Hinge. So that just lets me know about what kind of audience I'm dealing with on Tinder. So basically, Hinge is number one, Bumble follows under that. Tinder, Last and Tammy I've never used, so I've got no opinion. I've heard it's good, and because people know right off the bat what you are, great. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, it'll mean the world to me. Comment, like, whatever. Bye.